How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
this the end? There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final
Who the fuck is Karlyn? She's just some sweet lady. She's like in a knitting. She does like a knitting stream. She's like a knitting YouTuber. She does knitting.
Can we grow up a little bit and
Alt
not
Girl
be
sent $200.
retarded?
Have you seen the
Please.
work of Karlyn Borysenko? Anti-commie cult leader and is obsessed with looking at what actual far-left communists are talking about and organizing today, infiltrating them. They infiltrated the universities, schools, media. She has the receipts to back it up. Primary source evidence. Infestation is dire and she calls Republicans idiots eating slop. Agree.
Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, oh, I know Karlyn B. She's solid. She's funny. I
The
like
Great
her.
Noticer sent $200.
Literally.
So
not
it's,
Ian.
it's not a because I haven't dangled my junk into the combat zone on purpose to get some camera footage, but that's the big part of what's the
Is
problem.
that what you call reporting?
Go
and live
under if
streaming?
you're going to do it.
Yeah,
go
seriously.
undercover. Otherwise, you're wearing a hunk of meat in a lion's den. Nick Shirley, I love you. Take care of yourself, man. Karlyn Borysenko went undercover. Do stuff like that. Like if you want to expose this thing, don't pariah.
But
Please.
Ian, here's and I agree with you to an extent.
I watch these streams, and I've been watching a self-professed fascist named Karlyn who drinks and basically roasts these live streams. But weirdly, she has apparently embedded herself with Antifa before, and so it's such a funny stream because
So they tolerate her?
oh no, not anymore. She no. She's like, I mean, I don't know if she's trolling or not, but on her stream, she's like, I am a fascist.
Right.
So she's proudly proclaiming she's a fascist. I don't know how much of that is trolling, how much of it is real, but conservatives who are drawn to her stream will say things like, these people are funded by George Soros. And it's the funniest thing because she gets so mad. And she's like, get off fucking Fox News. Stop watching that shit. It's all wrong. Do these people look funded? Do these people look like they have money? They're not funded. It's so, and I guess her bigger point is by saying these are funded agitators and not saying what they actually are, which is anti-capitalist revolutionaries, you dilute what's really happening. Because what's really happening, according to her, and I think a fair amount of people, is that the economy is so fucked. The middle class is diminishing so much. The cost of living is so high that this is the perfect soil you need if you wanted communism to grow anywhere.
And I've learned a lot from Karlyn Borysenko, who goes in undercover with the left. And I've figured out from looking at her work, like when I first saw her stuff, I was like, oh, she knows what she's talking about. I need to like connect with her. And she actually, the first time I got assaulted in 2025, followed me and sent me messages, and she checked on me for months, just privately. It was so nice to have somebody like, are you okay? But I could tell she knew what she was talking about, and I subscribe to her. I look at all her stuff. I've learned so much, and I thought I knew a lot. I've learned so much.
Yo, what the fuck is going on with YouTube notifications today? Is this another YouTube not sending out notifications day? Whatever, man. Whatever. I feel like if I don't do short videos, like literally every single day, then YouTube is just going to bend me over and fuck me. That's what I feel like. I feel like I am beholden to do fucking shorts every single day. Otherwise, YouTube is like, we're going to punish you for not just doing the 3-minute videos that we demand you do. Now, I have to be honest, though, I'm actually starting to make money on Facebook and now even TikTok. Did you guys know I'm monetized on TikTok now? So there is incentive for me to make these short videos for Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, because unironically, I actually make more just by posting content on Facebook and TikTok than I make on X and YouTube. The money I make on X and YouTube comes entirely from super chats and channel memberships. And you guys take very good care of me, and I'm so appreciative of everything you do. And by the way, we're going to have a channel membership goal today. We didn't have one yesterday, and I didn't complain about it, but we are going to have a channel membership goal today because we're doing a class day. So everyone, if you really want me to be happy, get your channel memberships in. That's Marty. That's Big Tex. That is not actually Adam Green. And Marty, I don't fucking appreciate you impersonating my friends. Okay? I don't give a fuck if you impersonate Big Retard. I really don't care. But don't impersonate Adam Green and don't impersonate Amalek. And if you do, I'm going to ban your ass from the channel, and you just can cry about it on Big Tech's channel for all I give a fuck. Speaking of which, just listen, this is the last thing I'm going to say about this. And I don't know if Big Retard over on Kick is having a good old cry about the stream I did yesterday, where I'm again pleading with him to accept the reality that the idea that I'm obsessed with him is a story. It's a story. It's a story in your head, bro. It's a story. It's a story. It's a story that I expertly planted when I was pissed off because you were being an asshole on the internet. See, he didn't respect me because I'm a woman, and he didn't expect me to be smarter than him, even though I am. And that's really the downfall. That is really the downfall of every man who tries to come in and fuck with me and thinks that they can, especially when I was heavier. Like, that was the downfall, because like every fucking man thought that they could come in and try to control me and manipulate me and all this stuff because, oh, the fat girl dislikes attention from men and all this stuff. Not realizing that I'm fucking married, not realizing I can get laid whenever the fuck I want, not realizing that I've had plenty of attention from men throughout my however long I've been alive on this earth, not realizing that it's not quite that easy when you encounter a strong-willed Aries bitch on the internet. So it's like, whatever. But just in case, did you time him out to force him to change his name? I guess we'll see. Just in case, I just want people to know that when I say I have receipts of something, when I fucking say I have receipts, just know that I literally always have receipts. I told you guys yesterday, the reason that Big Tech, sulking hermit, Pisces over on Kick is releasing these videos where I sound crazy is because I was fucking with him after he made AI porn of me, and then he tried to fuck with me by telling me that he was in love with me, even though I knew that wasn't true. And you can see right there, I am not making this shit up, okay? I'm not making this shit up at all in any way. I told you guys I had receipts for this. And you know what? I found out some information today because of the video that I did yesterday. I found out some, you know what? Listen, there were a couple of people who had hinted to me that big tech was trying to destroy my friendships with other people because he was pissed off that he was pissed off that his friends were being friendly with me. Do you guys know this? Did I ever tell you about this? This was like from way, 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 way back, where he was pissed off that people like Adam Green and people like Amalek were being friendly towards me. And so he was trying to work some back channel communication to say, no, that bitch is crazy. You can't be friends with her. You can't be friends with her. And they like, I had gotten hints about this at the time because like, I never talked about him with Adam or with Amalek because I think it's fundamentally unfair to try to make people choose. That's not the game I play. If they want to be friends with him, I don't give a flying fuck. It makes no difference to me at all, but it certainly made a difference to him. And he tried to convince them not to be friendly with me. And neither of them fucking listened because he's being fucking ridiculous and acting like a woman. And I wasn't even going to release this until I basically got confirmation today that it actually went even a little bit further than I thought it fucking did. And he was like actively fucking pressing people to try to like not be friends with me. And I'm like, you know what, asshole? You know what? You know what? Kiss what is left of my copious fucking ass. It's not really copious anymore. Sadly, the weight loss has destroyed the once awesome booty that I had. It's made my tits look better, has made my ass look much worse than it did before, but it still looks pretty good. But like, whatever. He can kiss my fucking ass. Okay? He can kiss my ass. So if anyone ever doubts that I have the receipts that I say I have, just know I literally always and forever have the receipts I say I have. And if you try to fuck with my relationships with other people on the internet, please. Yeah, the ex-copious ass. The ex-copious ass. Man. You got Trendlin with the super chat. Trendlin, we'll watch that video. It's only like 5 minutes long. I'll watch it. I got the text message, Trendlin. We're gonna do another Trendlin day on Friday. Okay. We're gonna watch Trendlin making Karlyn suffer content again on Friday. So I appreciate that, Trendlin. Thank you. Vegas! W's to you, my dear. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted channel memberships. Old sub in there like a fucking king, fucking legend. Big support from Old Sub. W's to you, my friend. Let's get some plague doctors in the chat. Already up to 15 of our 100 channel membership goal for today. Really appreciate that. So guys, Trendlin sent in this body language video, and I do want to watch this real quick, and then we're going to get into the content. And this is like 5 minutes long, okay? So Trendlin sent me $20. She wants me to watch a 5-minute video. Okay, fine. Let's watch this video real quick about body language between Candace Owens and Andrew Wilson from the great debate on Friday, and then we're going to get into our real content. So let's see what Trendlin sent us. And if this sucks, it's entirely Trendlin's fault, and you guys should yell at her in the chat. And yeah.
Candace and Andrew had I don't even know how you could call it a debate. It was like a tense press conference, which is weird in itself. In all honesty, this seems like it's a non-starter as far as for me being interesting. Yep. My goodness, with the amount of details that we already do know about this whole shooting or not shooting or whatever. All this is the WWE of podcasting. It's great entertainment.
So true,
and you know what? I don't find WWE that interesting. But WWE for body language purposes, there are a couple of nuggets that we can get through.
Down here with you, talking to you guys about the conversation that I think started with you being on Joe Rogan when you said, hey, I'm offering $300,000. And for the audience watching this, you have to know when you see this final product, there's a lot of stuff that happens behind closed doors. So I was sitting there watching just the beginning, because one of the things about body language, you always want to watch the beginning. It gives you an idea of what you're walking into. So you got Candace. She's actually pretty common still. She's got a tight lip smile. She's not stress-free. She's very stressed. She's holding herself. She's not moving very loosely.
but she is stress-free enough that she can perform, I'm relaxed. When you are so stressed, you can't even perform that, holy cow. And that is Andrew. He can't even smile. He's got furrows straight in the head right away.
So
shaking his head like he's shaking his leg like he's a dog scratching himself. It's like, wow, what the hell was going on?
That was, I didn't mention this during the debate, but like Andrew constantly shaking his fucking foot was so distracting to me like the entire time.
Prior to all the shenanigans, dude, upset already out of the gate, can't even fake being relaxed.
But still communication till midnight. Even some of the stuff this morning, like it's like you're trying to sell a company. It's the last 24 hours that the deal doesn't work out, but kudos to the both of you guys that you made it work. The topic of discussion today, how this got prompted is, Andrew, you said there's overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson shot and killed Charlie Kirk. And Candace, your position was he's a patsy. Tyler Robinson is a patsy. So, of course, we'll talk about a lot of different things, but that's kind of how...
hearing, like, listen, I like it with the benefit of hindsight, hearing Patrick Bet-David say it that way, that Andrew's position that is there was overwhelming evidence in support of Tyler Robinson killing Charlie Kirk. It was Andrew's job in this debate to lay out the evidence. If the position that Andrew Wilson was coming into this debate with was there is overwhelming evidence that this is true, it was actually on Andrew to lay out the fucking evidence. It was not on Candace to prove like a negative. It was on Andrew to say, here is the overwhelming evidence. Candace, can you please respond to this? Candace didn't have anything to respond to. And this is why all of those retarded fucking faggots in my comments, because I posted a video saying Candace won this debate, that didn't even listen to the video. I am not saying that Candace presented overwhelming evidence of her case. She didn't have to. Andrew was the one with the burden of proof. Candace was not the one with the burden of proof in this particular scenario. Andrew did not present evidence. Therefore, Candace didn't really have anything pressing her against the wall. Therefore, Candace won. No one changed their minds. No one was convinced. There was no case made on the other side because Andrew didn't fucking make it.
The whole thing got started. For the audience watching, I think this is truly for three different people. Number one is anybody out there that loves Charlie, respects Charlie, his legacy, what he did. We have a lot of love and admiration for what he did. He changed the lives of many people, young men, young women.
The sad thing is this guy is already lost right out of the gate. The body says, as this man is sitting there talking about, the greatness of Charlie, Andrew can't even look in that direction. Candace is having no problem giving really good eye contact to the moderator, and Andrew cannot. He's squirrely, looking everywhere but at that.
I think that people need to keep in mind, Candace, for all her faults, and she has many. I'm not a Candace fan. I'm not a Candace supporter. I think Candace is a retarded narcissist, like a real narcissist. So I'm not like a Candace stan in any way, shape, or form. But for all Candace's faults, Candace has been in many, 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 many high pressure situations. Okay, well, at least you changed the photo. So at least you're not impersonating Adam. Okay, so fine for the moment, Marty, but I don't want any more retarded shit like what you were saying on Twitter. If I want to buy a fucking expensive bag, I will buy a fucking expensive bag. If I want to buy a fucking expensive watch, then I will buy a fucking expensive watch. And I don't want any more fucking whining about how I choose to spend my money just because you're pissed off that I make more money than your boy big retard over on Kick, okay? So just like play fucking nice. You guys can be over here if you're not being a dick and you're not being disruptive, okay? But just wait. I don't give a fuck. It's my fucking money. Anyway. So back to what I was saying about this. Candace has been in many high pressure situations. Candace has been on national TV. Candace has testified in front of Congress. Candace has done college speaking tour after college speaking tour where those things are videoed and put out all over the world. Candace has been one of the most relevant people, for better or worse, on the internet. It's not my husband's money. I make significantly more than my husband. You can cry about that. You can cry. Although he's making pretty good fucking money now selling cars. So I'm not actually upset about it or anything. But let's just be very clear. Let's just be very clear. Candace has been in many high-pressure situations. Andrew has not. Andrew might have his own YouTube thing where he streams to a whole bunch of people that are his friends and supporters. That is not the same thing as being on a national stage. Andrew may have been on Piers Morgan several times. Okay, like, you know, like I've been on fucking national TV shows too. It's not the same as being in like what is going to be one of the most watched debates of the year. Okay, so Candace just had a leg up on Andrew. Candace has been in many more high pressure situations. She has been through this before. And Andrew going on the Whatever podcast to debate OnlyFans whores was maybe not the preparation that was required for him to come onto this stage.
Does not want to acknowledge anything that's coming out of this man's mouth. Nothing. We'll say it like this. Innocent people don't behave that way. This still frame right here tells you everything. Avoidance of the subject. No, we are not going to sit there and go watch the gotcha moments. Everybody knows they're a gotcha moment. We're looking for the other nuggets. This is not WWE body language. This is the UFC.
You to address that. How could that be possible? Let's give it, let's just grant this for a second as a possibility that his fingerprints were degraded.
It's not a possibility. It's a fact. The person who took
hang
it.
On. I'm just granting it for the sake of argument.
You should grant it because it's a fact that
so
she
now,
presented.
So now it's granted. So what?
What do you mean? So what?
Yeah. So what? What does that prove?
Yeah. And additionally, the real reason that Candace won this, she made $300,000 for this. I don't want anyone to hear I don't want to hear any fucking complaining about how I spend my money when the context of this is Andrew Wilson paid $300,000 to this woman to put himself of being in the position to take her down. And then not only does he not show up with evidence, he doesn't even know what Tyler Robinson is charged with, which Candace totally fucking got him on. It's like, man, I may not have considered this such a W for Candace if she hadn't walked away with $300,000 for 4 hours of her fucking time. That alone makes it a massive W for Candace. No, I don't think he's that rich. I think that he got money from his supporters. I think he got money from the Whatever podcast. I'm sure he put some of his own money into it as well. I don't think Andrew's poor. I think he has a lot of different ways he makes revenue. I think he's actually very smart about the way he set up his business and the multiple revenue lines that he's set up. But I don't think he's so rich that he didn't get help from other places for that $300,000. But I don't actually really care where he got the fucking money. The fact that Candace made $300,000 to participate in a 4-hour fucking debate in which she was not pressed at all, that by itself was a massive W. And I'm sorry, anyone that supported this with the crowdfunding campaign that Andrew did, I hope you all feel cheated by him. I hope you all feel cheated because listen, man, if I ever raised $300,000 for something from my fans and then I just failed to show up at all, I would feel at least that I would owe them some sort of apology, honestly.
Proves that if his prints were the most degraded amongst 5 of them, you're going to have to explain how that's possible if he's the one that recently fired the weapon.
Yeah, so wait a second. You're saying that it's an impossibility that if his fingerprints are the most degraded.
I'm telling you.
All right, so at this point, we just have what's loser argument. And this is why this is WWE. It's just one point after another of he's a bad actor, no matter what. So what? So what if the fingerprints were the most degraded? What does that prove? It's taking facts and just throwing them straight out the window. Verbally, all of that is what it is. Watching his body language, the whole conversation makes him nervous. He can't stop shaking. He's not holding very good eye contact. He's hiding his face with his hand. And he's red. His ears are like crimson red. And he looks like he's sweaty and oily.
Holding
the
down
body
the fort
is tattletaling on this fool who decided to pick a fight with a woman who's able to bring the facts straight to her brain. Honestly, it's not really hard. It just says that this arena of hers that she's in is the most important. So all of those facts will stay right there at the front. It's like asking a doctor who specializes in bone repair. a bunch of random questions about bone health. It's right there in the brain. Not so much for the gynecologist, but for the bone guy, yeah. This obviously is extremely important to her. That's why it's straight there in the brain. And you got to wonder why he even did the debate, knowing that he was going to lose.
Exactly.
And I said he knew it because of how much stress we're seeing. This was not a good idea. Maybe that's why the negotiations were so long. But it seems kind of stupid. And he lost coming into it. This guy is a bad actor. And his name is Cover Story.
What a fucking screenshot of Andrew right here. Honestly. What a fucking screenshot. He looks worried. He's already fucking sweaty. Andrew, could you not just have put on some powder, bro? I mean, listen, I don't wear makeup on my streams. I totally get it. Makeup fucking sucks. But like, you're on a national stage, bro. You're already sweating. Could you not just have like let them pat on some powder on you just to reduce the glare, because it's not a good look, bro. It's just not.
May the Lord bless you and keep you in Jesus' name.
All right. Thank you, Trendlin. That was an excellent video to start us off for the day. I totally agree that Andrew lost. Yo, I've been watching this, the Tim Pool, Alex Jones crash out, and you've got Harrison Smith, the gentleman and the scholar who finally learned how to pronounce my name correctly. You've got Harrison Smith on the side, like doing all this fucking commentary and shit talking Tim Pool because Tim Pool is coming at Alex Jones. And I'm just like, you know what? Just on general principle on this one, I'm on Alex Jones's side. Like, this is like Alex Jones fighting with both Tim Pool and the fucking quartering in the same day. It's like, what a massive dub. What a massive dub that is. So I gotta check in on that stuff later, but I've had other stuff to do. So, all right. Time for business. We are getting back into serious content, ladies and gentlemen, and they, thems, because this is a serious channel. This is a serious research channel and a class. No matter how much internet drama I may engage in, I am a woman after all. You have to forgive me sometimes. But no matter how much internet drama I may engage in, we are a serious research group, and we do serious content on this channel, and we do deep dives into content covering the far left in America. I will show you things no one else on the internet is showing you, things no one else on the internet is talking about. Yeah, we had recess. Back to fucking work, children, get back into the class. We have to, we still have shit to do. Being that we are the responsible ones that are the only people on the internet covering the topics that I cover. You're welcome. We have to behave responsibly. And so I have a video for us today that just got uploaded about a month ago to the George Washington University Graduate School of Education and Human Development YouTube channel. And you can see this is one of my favorite types of videos. What videos do I like more than any other? What videos make me smile more than any other? Videos on tiny little YouTube channels that only have 35 views. And those videos are the ones that are on the university YouTube channels, the lectures, the classes, all the George Washington University is an elite fucking school. It may not be like the most elite, but it is a very, very, very well-regarded school. This is the Graduate School of Education, where the teachers are trained in George Washington University, okay? So this is the good shit. You want to see stuff no one else is showing you? You want to see what's actually going on in higher education? This is where you find it, on the teeny tiny little YouTube channels where you might say, oh, it only got 35 views. How impactful is it? This is being taught at George Washington University in the Graduate School of Education, where the teachers are trained. So it doesn't actually matter if it only has 35 views on YouTube. It doesn't actually matter. This is being taught in a tier 1 college graduate program where teachers are trained to go into the public schools and teach what they learned in the graduate schools. Okay? this gives us insight into actually what is happening at colleges and universities. So about a month ago, they uploaded a presentation towards a trans utopia documenting trans joy to reimagine the present and the future. Grounded in the visionary framework of Jose Esteban Munez, we've heard this one before, Dr. Z, Rabbi. There's a rabbi in this presentation. You're welcome. Bagels in the chat, please. No anti-Semitism allowed. We love rabbis here. And Dr. Darren expose radical trans futurity amidst intense political and social backlash. Moving beyond the rhetoric of mere inclusion, the conversation critically examines how transgendered individuals and communities can navigate the stark realities of interest divergence within modern institutions. Together, the panelists highlight strategies for not only surviving the present moment, but actively forging a liberated utopian future. So this is a Dr. Z, Interim Associate Dean of Faculty Affairs in the College and Education and Professor of Trans Studies in Education at the University of Arizona. Did you guys know that there is a Trans Studies in Education program at the University of Arizona? I didn't know that until I read this person's bio. That's why we read things on this channel. There's a director of trans fucking studies in education at the taxpayer-funded University of Arizona. It's a big-ass school. That is a big-ass school. Yeah, that's great. That's just, like, well done, Arizona. Well done. Well done, Arizona. Abby Stein, Jewish educator and rabbi. That's going to be a good one. Darren L. Stewart, professor of higher education at Morgridge College of Education at the University of Denver. Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good. And this is moderated by a PhD person at the Graduate School of Education at George Washington University. This is what we will be watching today so that we can get a sense of, what is actually going on in these schools and what these people are actually teaching when they think people like us are not listening. But there's something else I wanted to tell you guys. There's something else because I actually found quite a bit of interesting content today when I was researching this. I found quite a bit of interesting content. Now, do you guys remember Sarah Lamble? Who knows who Sarah Lamble is? Does anyone know who Sarah Lamble is? Yeah, Trump didn't get rid of shit. Trump didn't get rid of anything. Perhaps if you were spending more time over here rather than listening to Big Retard, you would know that. Shame. Pity. Shame. Who is Sarah Lamble? Does anyone remember? Yeah, we watched Sarah Lamble last week on a stream with Dean Spade, who is the Seattle School law professor that has raised more money for the far left than pretty much anyone. Sarah Lamble just wrote a book about, what was it, like the trans backlash amid carceral, like whatever the fuck. So I found this presentation with Sarah Lamble, Trans Liberation and Abolishing the Carceral State. And that looks interesting enough. However, wait for it. Guys, check this out. This Trans Freedom School might be the brand new YouTube channel that I didn't know we needed. Are you guys ready for what is on? There's only one subscriber of this YouTube channel. There's only one subscriber. Trans Freedom School. Gender, Race, and the Politics of Sport. Rethinking Trans Health and Medicine. Rethinking Trans Health and Medicine. Fighting the Rise of Anti-Trans Fascism. Fighting the rise. This is like, there's a panel and another fucking panel. I got to download all this stuff. I'm working on downloading this entire YouTube channel right now. Like literally, I'm working on downloading this entire YouTube channel right now. Trans Abolition Keynote. What is fair play? Disciplining gender in sports. What is trans healthcare? Authoritarianism, fascism, and trans politics. Trans medicine. Is this the fucking YouTube channel that we didn't know that we needed? Is this possibly the most gold mine of a queer liberation YouTube channel that literally some of this stuff, guys, has been uploaded in the last hour. This is all brand new content, totally brand new content that we've never seen before. Thank you, Trans Freedom School. Thank you. I didn't sub. No, fuck no. I should, though. I should. Thank you, Trans Freedom School. No, maybe we should be subscriber number 2. No, I'm not going to sub. We're just going to keep it open on the tab. That's how we do things. So I almost decided to go over and start watching this channel. Maybe we should do a marathon. Maybe we should do a marathon of like all of this trans liberation shit. That would actually be awesome. But just because this presentation is from George Washington University, I want to watch this. I want to watch this and I want to see what happened. So that's what we're going to do on the channel today, guys. We are watching this content and we are seeing what happened directly for ourselves. And it's going to be awesome. Guys, if you have never watched trans liberation content, queer liberation content with me before, it might be a little bit tricky for you to understand some of the language. Hopefully they're relatively plain spoken, but just keep in mind if you're relatively new to watching the far left with me, there is a language barrier because it might sound like they're speaking English. They are not speaking English. They are speaking a completely different dialect. They may use the same words we use. They do not have the same meaning that we have. So if you are relatively new to this, I want to encourage you to ask questions if you don't understand something, okay? And it's really important that you do this because a lot of people come to this channel, they think they understand the left, but really they've just been listening to conservative bullshit content. Now, it's not your fault if you've been listening to conservative bullshit content where you're listening to people who basically don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but like it is your responsibility. Once you are faced with direct content from the left, we only use primary sources on this channel, guys. We do not listen to conservative pundits or commentators. We listen directly to the far left to hear directly from them what they believe and how they see the world and how they're organizing and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you are relatively new to this, it's going to be a little bit tricky because you might think you understand the language, but you really don't. And so asking questions anytime you're confused about something, there is no shame in asking questions, guys. That is how we learn. And every single person that's ever studied the left with me for any length of time has learned that there's just going to be shit that we don't know. I feel like we live in this age on the internet where people feel like they need to be an expert in all possible topics at all possible times. Like, I know everything about this and I'm going to tell you what's what. And you basically sound like the drunken uncle that's like bloviating at Thanksgiving. And it's really fucking annoying. You are not an expert in every single topic. I am not an expert in every single topic. I am an expert in this, though. And the reason I'm an expert in this is because I've spent over 5,000 hours watching these people. Actually, probably even more than that now. I've spent well over 5,000 hours watching these people over the last 5 years, okay? That's why I'm an expert in this. And I know how to translate what they're saying to people who are not used to watching leftist primary sources directly, because you do not see this stuff on conservative media. They almost never cover what I actually show people. And this is what's actually going on. This is what's being taught in the colleges and universities that you're sending your kids to. This is what trickles down into K through 12 public schools where you're all sending your kids if you have them. This is the real shit. The clickbait content that you see on Libs of TikTok is not the real shit. It's just clickbait outrage content. This is the real stuff. We watch it from start to finish. We meticulously break down the language. I explain what all this means. And if you guys are new here, please ask questions. Hey, welcome, bro. Welcome. Come over to YouTube if you want a better chat experience, or you can hang out on Facebook, whatever's clever. So guys, we are going to dig into this. I do have a goal of hitting 100 channel memberships today. My work is completely funded by people like you. I I cannot stream like this if you guys don't support the work I'm doing. I am not a political person. I am not beholden to either the Democrats or the Republicans. I take no political money. I have no political masters. We do this stuff completely independently because my only job is to show up and provide you with the primary source evidence and show you the receipts and tell you the truth and to show you what is really going on in the world. If you appreciate what I do, please feel free to contribute some channel memberships. That gets people access to member perks in the community. You can contribute some super chats. I do like to hit 100 channel memberships on days where I'm doing what I call a class stream, which is stuff like this. W Chicago, thank you so much, bro. If you contribute channel memberships, everyone will give you W's in the chat because you're not only supporting me, you're also supporting them by handing out some memberships. And that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, guys, let's dig into it. If you have questions, put them in the chat. I will be paying attention. And don't be a dick. No whining, no debunking. Same rules apply. Let's get this party started.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dwayne Quasey Wright Barrington III, and I have the privilege and pleasure of serving as an assistant professor of higher education administration.
Thank you,
in the Graduate School of Education and Human Development, which of course is part of the George Washington University here in the nation's capital. I want to give a welcome on behalf of our intern dean Lionel Howard, our interim associate dean Jennifer Clayton, and most importantly, all of GSHED's faculty, staff, and students.
Look at it. So I know we got this Olympic one with Jesse Owens, right? Or is that Jesse Owens? I'm pretty sure that's Jesse Owens. But anyway, but look at this one. Don't panic, organize. That's straight up fucking dictatorship of the proletarian shit right there. Yo! We got Lisa Old Granny giving $50 for channel memberships. That's going to count as 10, Lisa Old Granny. I so appreciate it, my dear. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In fact, why don't I drop, just because Lisa Old Granny just dropped a super chat, she wants I can drop 10 channel memberships in the chat right now, I think. Let me see if I can figure out how to do this. There was a time when I can do this. Membership gifting. Let's drop 10 channel memberships in the chat right now. Just because Lisa Old Granny's chat, there's 5. And I get to drop 10 free channel memberships every month. So that's why we're doing this. There's another 5 on me, Lisa O'Grady. I so appreciate that. Welcome to the 10 new members. So we got 10 from Lisa O'Grady. See, now I'm going to have to do fucking math. We got 10. We got another one from Derpy Dan. W's good, sir. Appreciate that. W's Mike. I'll appreciate that. That's another one there. Hang on. Trendlin, I'm going to get you in a second. I need to do math here, Trendlin. Okay, I need to do math. We're already up to 29. Okay, we got Trendlin in with the super chat. Can we join? No! Trendlin, no. We are not joining Andrew Wilson's live stream. No. That retarded loser who lost in a debate to Candace Owens that he paid $300,000 for. Like, no, we do not lower ourselves to the live streams of imbeciles, even if those imbeciles have more viewers than I do. I don't really care. But thanks for the $20, Trendle, and I appreciate it. I'm totally keeping it, even though I told you no, okay?
To the 2026 Pride Forum. This event is entitled Towards a Trans Utopia, documenting trans joy to reimagine the present and the future. We would not be able to do this event without our co-sponsors, the Columbian College of Arts and Sciences, DEI.
Columbia.
Branch, the Elliott School of International Affairs.
Oh, no, I think those are schools at GWU.
The Multicultural Student Services Center, and of course, the newly minted Community Culture and Inclusion Office, run by my very good friend, Dr. Jordan West. This particular event happens to be the continuation of a university seminar sponsored by the good folks in our Office of the Vice Provost for Research. If anyone is interested in seeing the prior events, I have just put a link in the chat. Joy coming from the morning is what my mother used to say to me. She would usually add a "this too shall pass" as well when we had our hardest times. As an immigrant family growing up in Brooklyn, there were a lot of hard times, but she wanted to remind me that, that what was hard would always certainly pass. I took that to heart in my academic career.
Yo,
and I take it to heart in the work that we do
Thank
here
you,
for
bro. I
DEI
know you
at
like
GSHED.
even numbers.
But I also
do too.
understand
W's
that
to you, my
sometimes
friend.
waiting until the morning for joy to come is a bit superficial. I know that today's conversation is in the backdrop of a world that is, in some ways, joyless, a world filled with genocide and war,
We're
a world
joyless,
filled
guys.
with unmitigated oppression against our trans brothers and sisters. However, we still try to find that joy. Our task today is to document that joy.
You bring a lot of joy,
using Cruising Utopia as sort of a background, and to find the small places within the difficult natures and tasks that are going on. And we have an all-star panel to do that as well. But before we go there, I have the indistinguishable pleasure of introducing one of my students who is going to be the panelist here today. Maddie Soferis goes by the pronouns they, she, is a PhD student in education with a concentration in education and inequality at the...
A student, a they, she pronoun person that is a student in education with a concentration in education and inequality at George Washington University. This is the person that's going to be teaching your children in public schools. I know, it catches you off guard, doesn't it? Catches you off guard, bro.
George Washington University's GSHED. In the free time that they do not have, they serve as the Assistant Director of Residential Case Management within the CARE team here at GW. And Manny, we thank you for that work. It was crucial for all our students, including our trans students as well. They graduated with their MA in higher education with a focus in social justice. And shout out to my colleague.
She graduated with an MA in education with a focus in social justice from George Washington University.
Denise Dortch, who helped me to do that focus. In May of 2025, Manny's work and research centers on trans epistemologies, queer and trans inclusion in higher education, and building systems of care that support marginalized students. Outside of work and research, they are passionate about creating spaces where queer community, authenticity, and connection can thrive, whether that be in higher education settings or in their work bartending in DC's lesbian nightlife. And I have observed, Maddie, in their element there. And I got to tell you, as good as they are in their research, they're good as that as well.
Excuse me, did the Black immigrant that works at George Washington University just say that he has observed the they, she graduate student in education in lesbian nightlife and they are qualified? What the fuck does that even mean? Does that sound inappropriate for anyone else? Does it sound inappropriate for a staff member at George Washington University to be observing graduate students engaging in lesbian nightlife and commentating on that on a recorded presentation on the fucking internet? Again, sir?
And research centers on trans epistemologies, queer and trans inclusion in higher education, and building systems of care that support marginalized students. Outside of work and research, they are passionate about creating spaces where queer community, authenticity, and connection can thrive, whether that be in higher education settings or in their work bartending in DC's lesbian nightlife. And I have observed, Maddie, in their element there. And I got to tell you, as good as they are in their research, they're good as that as well.
Excellent. The they, she, queer, that's the education major, is also excellent at lesbian nightlife bartending, as observed by the Black immigrant administrator at George Washington University. Okay.
Especially interested in how community, care, and joy and belonging can serve as forms of resistance and transformation.
We got to remember, Jake Lang's in Dearborn. Oh man, is he causing problems? Oh no. Do we need to go to a BG on the scene live update? Hang on. BG on the scene, Jake Lang update. Hang on. We're going to go back, but Jake Lang update. Jake Lang breaking news. Let's go. Let's Let's go! Police are there. I hope he didn't bring a goat too. That poor fucking goat.
Jesus is king!
Yeah, Jake Lang showed up in Dearborn. We're doing Jake Lang breaking news. Breaking news. Oh, looks like it's getting out of control. Let's go! He's got a big eagle on a stick. Look at that guy. He just tried to grab Jake Lang's megaphone.
You have 53 countries. You have 53 countries. We only have Europe and America. We love our country. We love Jesus. This is a land of opportunity for my posterity, not yours. Jesus Christ is King of Dearborn, Michigan. Jesus Christ is King of Dearborn, Michigan. USA! 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 USA!
Wow. It's actually a pretty impressive protest, honestly. This is actually an impressive turnout. Guys, remember, Jake Lang is supposed to be in Minneapolis. What is it, on Saturday for the N-word event? And I, like, for a brief moment thought about, like, actually going to Minneapolis for it. And then I just quickly put that aside because I don't want to get my ass kicked. But I think that we are going to be doing Jake Lang coverage on Saturday for this N-word event, and I'm looking forward to that. Is anyone else looking forward to that? One in the chat if you're looking forward to Jake Lang getting his ass kicked probably in Minneapolis on Saturday. Two in the chat if you think that's going to be a big waste of time. Guys, we are going to be getting back to the GWU presentation very soon. We're just doing Jake Lang in Dearborn, Michigan. Breaking news update. This is live right now, so we're watching what happens with Jake Lang coming into the crowd and causing problems.
We need to remain orderly and calm. We are Christians. We need to separate into our two separate pits. The Americans and the Christians.
I know the timing is bad. I know the time, but it had to be done. Has to be done.
To the right, and all of the Islamic people go to the left.
I love that this guy brought an eagle on his stick. He's gonna whack Jake Lang with that at some point. Watch. He's gonna try to hit Jake Lang with the eagle.
The Christians are to my right. The Muslims over to the left. Remain orderly and peaceful. We are here to demonstrate our First Amendment. We are here to proclaim Jesus being King of Dearborn. Calm yourselves down. Keep your hands to yourselves. Remain Remain calm.
Yeah, remain peaceful, everyone.
Calm yourselves down. This is just a First Amendment demonstration. Nobody is going to be hurt here. We are not seeking.
Guys, here's what we're going to do. We are going to go back to the GW presentation, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the Jake Lang stuff above my head so that we can monitor the Jake Lang situation, and I'll get OBS up and I'll make sure we have the Jake Lang cam above my head. I do want to go back and watch this GW presentation, though, because we can do two things at once here. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. So we're going to watch this. Let me just get the Jake Lang thing above my head. Hopefully it works. Everyone cross your fingers. Let's see. Is OBS gonna cooperate today? Let's see. Hang on. New capture. Let's see. Jake Lang live. Okay, hang on. Fit to screen. Start camera. Oh, we're almost there. You're almost there. Here we go. We got Jake Lang above my head. We will monitor the situation. If anything happens, we will go back to it live. But let's continue with the GW presentation about trans joy in Utopia.
Manny, I turn it over to you to moderate this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wright. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for the 2026 GSHED Pride Forum. Like Dr. Wright said, my name is Maddie Souflaris. I go by they, she pronouns. Currently in the education program within GSHED and serve as the Assistant Director of Student Outreach and Support within the CARE team.
Assistant Director of Student Outreach and Support within the education program at George Washington University.
But as a transmasculine, non-binary person, this conversation feels especially meaningful for me to moderate. Much of the public conversation that we're having about trans people, especially in this current administration and state of our society, focuses on crisis, legislation, exclusion, or survival. And those realities matter, and they can't be ignored, but they are not the entirety of trans lives. So tonight we are going to draw inspiration from Jose Esteban Munoz, Cruising Utopia, which invites us to imagine queerness not just as an identity, but as a way of envisioning and moving towards worlds that do not exist yet. At a moment when many institutions are retreating from their commitments to diversity and inclusion, and trans community continues to face significant political and social attacks, this forum is asking a little bit of a different question, which is what becomes possible when we center trans joy, trans knowledge, and trans imagination. Rather than limiting ourselves to conversations about surviving the present, we're going to explore what it means to actively create more liberatory futures and what lessons those futures can offer us today. I am super honored, super excited to be joined by three incredible scholars, educators, and activists whose work continue to challenge us to think beyond what is and towards what could be. So I will be introducing our panelists now. I'll start off with Dr. Z. Nicolazzo, is the Interim Associate Dean of Faculty Affairs in the College of Education and a professor of trans studies and education at the University of Arizona. Her scholarly work focuses on discourses of gender in educational contexts, with particular attention to how those discourses influence life chances and educational opportunity for trans students, faculty, and staff. She's the author of Trans in College, Transgender Students' Strategies for Navigating Campus Life and the Institutional Politics of Inclusion, and co-author and co-editor of several texts, including Digital Me, Trans Students Exploring Future Possible Selves Online, Becoming in Global Trans Studies, Critical Approaches to Educational Theory, Methodology, Ethics, and Politics, and Weaving and Otherwise in Relations Methodological Practice. In her spare time, she enjoys knitting, playing with a precocious dog, cooking, and baking. Thank you for being here with us today, Z. Rabbi Abby Stein is a Jewish educator and rabbi, award-winning author, speaker, and activist. She was born and raised in a Hasidic family of rabbinic descent and is a direct descendant of the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Hasidic Judaism. Abby attended yeshiva, completing a rabbinical degree in 2011. In 2012, she left the Hasidic world to explore a self-determined life. In 2015, Abby came out as a woman of trans experience. Since coming out, she has been working.
What the fuck? A woman of trans experience. That's a new one. That's one I haven't heard before. The Jewish rabbi came out as a woman of trans experience. I don't know what that means. That's a great fucking question. I don't know.
She left the Hasidic world to explore a self-determined life. In 2015, Abby came out as a woman of trans experience. Since coming out, she has been working to raise support and awareness for trans rights and those leaving ultra-Orthodoxy. Her memoir, Becoming Eve, My Journey from Ultra-Orthodox Rabbi to Transgender Woman, was published by Seal Press in November of 2019. Her second book, Sources of Pride, is forthcoming and will be published by Ben Yehuda Press. Thank you for joining us today.
That sounds Jewish.
And last but not least, Dr. Darren M.L. Stewart is a professor of higher education in the Mordridge College of Education at the University of Denver. At the end of his 25-year academic career across multiple institutions, Dr. Stewart has received numerous awards and is widely acknowledged as one of the most foremost scholars in the field of higher education studies. Their research and writing has covered the philosophy and history of many illegal things in U.S. higher education and how U.S. colleges and universities engage or disengage with those things, as well as the learning and becoming of minoritized college students through intersectional lenses, including spirituality, religion, and faith.
Listen, just don't fucking Fed post. Just don't fucking Fed post on YouTube. And quite frankly, don't fucking Fed post on Rumble either. Just don't be a fucking retard. If you like, you can say a lot of stuff in the chat. Just don't be a retard. And if you cross the line of being retarded, you'll get put in a timeout, and then you can learn not to say and do retarded things.
His work intentionally centered BIPOC, QT, and QTBI POC identities, knowledges, and experiences as intellectually compelling, spiritually meaningful, and morally demanding. Thank you for being here with us today.
Chances are these people are actually smarter than you. No offense, but like, if you can't listen to these people without you know. We gotta hinge into reality here. We need to hinge into reality. These people are highly intellectual. Just because they're saying things you don't want to hear doesn't mean that they are dumb. These people are not stupid.
So to begin our discussion today, I'd love to invite each of you to introduce yourselves in whatever way is most meaningful for you. I think a lot of us are familiar with your professional biographies, but I'm curious about the experiences, communities, relationships, or moments that have shaped the work that you do today. And as you introduce yourself, I'd love for you to reflect on this question. So the title of this forum intentionally centers trans joy, which can sometimes feel radical in itself, especially in our current political and social climate. How do you define trans joy? And why is joy such an important site of resistance, possibility, and world making? We can start with Z, and then we can move to Abby and then Darren.
Oh gosh. Thank you for the invitation and appreciate folks spending some time with us. I'm never quite sure about people's sports persuasions, but I appreciate all the football fans taking a little break from the World Cup and the FIFA corruption to spend some time with us today. So it's a pleasure to be here. Defining trans joy, that's like a really big question. I think that one of the ways I'm thinking about trans joy these days is kind of like, these little like pockets of space and time that are kind of in between all of the things that pack our professional bios, right? And how we enjoy life. What's joyful for me is sinking into a good text thread with some of my friends. What feels joyful for me is losing all sense of time of day because I'm invested in a really good book. What feels joyful to me is sitting and connecting with friends old and new. It's a joy, especially on this panel, to be alongside Darren, who's a longtime friend, and co-conspirator of mine, and also to sit with Rabbi Stein, who I just finished listening to her book a couple days ago, and it felt like we were sitting at the kitchen table having a talk, right? So I think those are some of the ways that I'm thinking about joy. It's not kind of capital J joy, but all these lowercase j joy moments that we get along the way. So, yeah, Abby, I'll kick it over to you, I guess.
I think the first thing that came to mind when we were talking about trans joy.
This is the rabbi of trans experience.
Is an interesting line of one of my ancestors that I grew up with. So the community I come from is known as supposedly being very focused on joy. I'm saying supposedly because nowadays it's a whole very different conversation. But historically speaking, there was a very strong emphasis. And there's a line from one of my ancestors who lived 200 years ago who said that maybe joy on its own isn't the greatest, kind of the best deed you can do in your life. But the things that it can get you to, the amazing good deeds and community building and positive life that it can get you to, nothing else in life can get you there. And to me, that is so much of when I think about, I mean, I think it's obviously joy for everyone, but specifically for trans people. And like, can I like come up anywhere and say that right now?
See, this sort of shit, this is what will get you put in timeout, because I don't want any of this Fed posting fucking bullshit in my chat. Either pay attention or get the fuck out.
As we talked earlier, there's literally people trying to genocide us in every way.
Literally trying to kill us.
In the context of GW, we're talking the context of a city. I was just in DC a few weeks, not even a week ago, doing a Pride Shabbat at one of the synagogues there.
Pride Shabbat.
Sorry, I have a bit of a something. Apologize for my cough.
A bit of a Pride Shabbat.
And I was just thinking about the fact that here we are celebrating Pride, and a few blocks from where we were is the US Capitol, where you have half of the people there working overtime trying to really do everything they can to make our lives a living hell, pardon the language. And I think in exactly that scenario, the joy that we can bring is the most powerful thing. And I see it so often in person and online, how activism is important. I do it all the time. I just spent a whole week at New York City Hall as we started the budget proceedings, fighting for gender affirming care for trans youth, fighting for so many different things that we need. We show up at protests, we show up at rallies, we show up for each other, whether it's through mutual aid or parties and so on. These are all very important. But at the end of the day, sometimes
mutual
what's
aid
really gonna create and build our communities in a way that no one can touch us is trans joy. And that can look in a lot of different ways. And I don't want to come and answer this question with do X, Y, Z, and that's going to bring you joy, because that never works. Everyone has their own thing that brings you joy.
It's just about, they believe that indigenous culture, the question is like, why do they keep saying ancestors and elders? Because it's a reference to indigenous culture. Indigenous culture for them existed before capitalism. Capitalism came and destroyed indigenous culture. So that's kind of like what they're talking about is the way that human beings were before capitalism was imposed on them by the theft of the land and yada, 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 yada.
You know, it is just getting affirmed by logging onto a call and someone giving you a compliment. Sometimes it is by doing something bigger. But the concept of it, of us showing up in the world and being, this is who we are, you can't hurt us, because whatever you're going to try to throw at us, I'm trans, you want to try to use some slurs? Oh, thank you. Yes, I know. I appreciate that. And so on. Our ability to show up in the world and not just be, yes, I happen to be trans and I'm a person. All of that is accurate. Yes, I'm trans and that's amazing. Should we start going through the friends that I have in my life who probably would have never gotten into my life if I wasn't trans? The community, the identity, the reality that we can do this right now, the reality that we can show up in the world and be proudly who we are is the strongest statement that we can make. I think I want to wrap this up, so to speak, with one final thing that I take from our tradition. I tell people a lot that one of the things that I love most, and I'm not here to proselytize, I promise we don't do this. I'm not trying to get anyone to become Jewish, but I will say in our tradition, we have such a strong focus, which I think a lot of other traditions do as well. And I think almost every culture does it. But we have this almost a set in stone way of celebrating life cycle and year cycle events. And they always go hand in hand. I always tell people that our reaction to doing something, like our reaction to a child born, isn't just, oh, we're going to give.
Yo, hey, I love it when this happens. I love it when I give someone a correction in the chat and they send me money. So W's, SoCalella, W's to you, my dear. I appreciate it. I apologize with money. Yes! This is the best type of apology. I didn't mean my comment that way. It was the trans experience. Okay. You know what? Forgiven. You're in the good graces, SoCal Ella. Congratulations to you for doing it the correct way. Love it, appreciate it. You rock.
Your name at synagogue, our reaction is we're going to throw a party. You've turned 12 or 13, we're going to throw you a party. You're dying. I don't know if any of you have ever been at a shiva, which is a Jewish morning. We're going to throw you a party.
Yo, Tango Bliss.
Everything that you do,
W.
you existing,
Thank you.
Being a person deserves to be celebrated and with our whole community. And I really want this, that we should bring this. Maybe I will get to talk a bit more about it later, but one of the proudest things that I've ever done was a few months after coming out, showing up at a synagogue with 500 people, and we did this massive kind of celebration. And yes.
So after the Jewish rabbi came out as a person of trans experience, they threw the Jewish rabbi a giant trans experience coming out party at the synagogue.
One this that we should bring this. Maybe I will get to talk a bit more about it later, but one of the proudest things that I've ever done was a few months after coming out, showing up at a synagogue with 500 people, and we did this massive kind of celebration. And yes, we deserve to be celebrated simply for being out and proud as trans people. And we have been doing that, and we will keep doing that.
Excellent job, Jews, at celebrating that. Way to go.
Not just to have joy, but to share that joy, and for that joy to be celebrated by everyone. Thank you.
I love all of that. Thank you so much. It really is a marked pleasure and honor to be here in this space with both, as she said, my long time, I don't even know how many years it's been now, co-conspirator, Dr. Z. Nicolazzo, and Rabbi Abby.
Yeah, guys, we just this is what Hans actually looks like, just so you guys know, like Hans exposed.
Thank you for being in this space. I also listened to your book here, and it was wonderful. One of the things that I delighted in was your accent, because it reminded me of home. I wasn't born and raised in Brooklyn, but I was born and raised in Harlem. And it was like, oh, I recognize that. I recognize that intonation. There's a lyrical nature, I think, to accents that are not NPR. I'll put it that way. There's a lyricism to it and a musicality that I love. And yes, you should be very proud of that accent. But for myself, as I think about other introductions, right? Really, in many ways, to say I was born and raised in Harlem in New York City is that says so much, but most people don't know how much that says, right? I was born and raised in Harlem in New York City, pre-gentrification.
Pre-gentrification, y'all.
And so being steeped in the home of the Black arts movement, being steeped in Black radicalism and Black cultural criticism, always being drawn, before I understood that this is what I was doing, always being drawn to the Black queerness in those spaces. And I think really, my life has been a journey. I'll use steal a term from Abby's bio. my life has been a journey of self-determination. For me, I connect that into, again, within African-American cultural celebrations or about parties, but Kwanzaa. And day 2 is Kujichagulia, which basically means in Swahili self-determination. The right to define ourselves for ourselves, right? And I think in many ways that is trans joy, right? Living into manifesting the right to define ourselves for ourselves. And I've done that in my life. I've seen that in how, as I have deliberately constructed, I always say part of the reason why I use one of my pronouns that I am most affirmed by is, the they series pronouns, is because I contain multitudes, what I always say. I contain multitudes, right? And so as they're intersected and they're mutually constitutive. So as I think about my identity and in self-determining that in terms of race, sexuality, gender, religion, right? And so being a Jew by choice, right? I don't know if you realize you pulled 3 Jews together in a panel, but so I don't know that you gave enough time.
Being a Jew by choice, I don't know if you realize it, you pulled together 3 Jews for the Trans Joy and Liberation panel at George Washington University. We love Jews on this channel. No anti-Semitism allowed. We celebrate the bagel in all of its glory. The Holocaust was the worst event to happen in the history of humanity. Hitler is burning in hell right now. There's no one worse in the history of the world. And Jews are God's chosen people. And we respect them. And we give them all our money to and go to their war in Iran and stuff like that. Jews are awesome. No anti-Semitism allowed. Bagels in the chat, please.
Mutually constitutive. So as I think about my identity in self-determining that in terms of race, sexuality, gender, religion, right? And so being a Jew by choice, right? I don't know if you realize you pulled 3 Jews together in a panel, but so I don't know that you gave enough time for this. So academics, rabbis, and 3 Jews, queers, we could be here like literally till tomorrow morning. But so doing that, at a point in my life, as I say in my bio, at the end, I have ended a 25-year career as an academic and to self-determine what I want to do next, and to understand and to be able to live into joy, right? So I'm the trans parent of a trans child, right? And I think
I'm the trans parent of a trans child. I am sure that is just a coincidence.
There's a special joy in reproducing transness, right? Being able to be part of that cycle of family and community. Yeah. And it's important because there's so much that wants us to not be joyful. Sorry, stop me if I'm getting too far ahead and leading into another question, but it's the idea of being only focused on our oppression and the struggle, and that there is a way in which dominant majoritarian society wants us to only focus on struggle, wants other people to only focus on us as objects of struggle, and subjects of struggle, and that really does not make us whole, right? It's not an I-thou relationship. If I borrow something out of, instead of an I-it, it's I-thou means you have to see people as whole people, right? And that wholeness includes, by necessity, our joy, right? And how we understand our joy. We understand our struggle through.
We got Jay Ham over on Rumble with 5 gifted channel memberships. W's to you, my friend. Thank you for holding down the fort on Rumble so much. Appreciate it. No, we don't do that. We don't do that here because we're listening to what they're saying. We're not just trying to get through it. We're actually trying to pay attention to what they're saying. So I know it's a little bit different than a lot of other stuff. I know you're new here, but we only do that if there's an actual time constraint, and there's no time constraint right this second.
Our joy, and we understand our joy through our struggle. It's all interconnected.
Thank you for
Someone
that.
got arrested
And
at
you
Jay
did
Grant
not
thing
steal
rally.
any thunder because I want to get deeper into that question anyway. So that's perfect. That's a perfect buildup for me. So like you said, many conversations right now about trans people are framed through crisis, legislation, backlash, survival. And those realities are super important, for sure. They shouldn't be ignored, but they also have become the dominant narrative when talking about trans people. So for you guys, what do you think gets lost when trans lives are only discussed through the lens of struggle? And what aspects of trans existence do you think deserve more attention right now? In no order, y'all can just pop in.
I don't want to be the one jumping first, but if no one else will talk, I will say, I think we all know the struggles. Even in a place like New York, I think it's even more so. I was chatting with a panel earlier, and I was saying specifically right now, over the past few months and after this weekend's win, a lot of people in New York were feeling very good about ourselves. And I love that. But even in a place like New York, we're still struggling a lot. We currently have to talk about the oppression. The federal government is now suing the 2 largest providers of gender-affirming care for people under the age of 19, trying to get all that information. Yes, we're fighting it, and we're lucky to have a local and state government that is joining us in that fight. But that is still happening. And I personally have had far too many conversations. And I don't just mean I can, even by numbers, over 24 with children and their parents who are afraid, or with children or their parents that have lost their health care because a lot of even New York hospitals have stopped providing care. And we keep showing up, we keep fighting, and so on. Unfortunately, the list of things that we can struggle about is far too long. But it's, as he said, Maddie, I think the things that we maybe don't talk enough about are the beautiful parts. I think I hinted a bit to some of those earlier, like the communities that we have. We were also talking about this earlier. I remember who it was who was saying they're just going to a party after this. But I think it goes way beyond just parties. It's the reality of and something that happened to me on Saturday night on the way home. We went to a watch party after the Knicks, and at 1 a.m., the entire city feels like a giant party. And I come up on this train station, and there's a lot of people screaming and chanting and dancing, and it was great and beautiful. And then, without even realizing, I found myself standing next to 2 other trans people, and we're all talking. We're not talking about trans stuff. We're talking about the Knicks. We're talking about the game. We're talking about stuff like that. But it's that moment of, I almost feel, and I know that's obviously not everyone's experience, but it's so often this feeling of, we're not alone in this. We have almost a built-in community, which, yes, maybe was created out of necessity, but it's so beautiful. I know that if I need something, I just need to reach out to a few people. They might not be able to help necessarily, but they will know, and they're going to know other people, and we're going to build. We're going to create something beautiful. We want to do a party. We have so much experience. I say a lot to trans people. I sometimes talk to say about trans people. I sometimes talk to corporations, unfortunately. But if they want to, invite people, trans people, to talk about trans issues, sure. And one of the things that I tell them about hiring trans people specifically, in addition to it, yes, it's the right thing to do, and trans people should be hired and paid for the work that we do, and so on. But it's also some of the people that know what it means to have to work for what we want. Unfortunately, no matter how accepting families might be, I know my family isn't. I'm sure some people on this call have had their own issues with their families. But even if your family is fully acceptant, we don't live in a world that is making it very easy. So we have learned to stand up for ourselves. We have learned to build something beautiful. And I wouldn't give that up for anything in the world. So let's focus on that. Let's focus on trans community, not just the community that is built out of please don't kill us, which is also very important, but the community that is built out of we want to help each other, we want to support each other, we want to dance together, we want to go to the beach together, we want to throw, I don't know, doll invasion for those of you who know Pride in New York City, and so on.
Doll invasion. Trans women are called dolls. That's what they're
I don't mean to be
to.
contrarian, but the first time that I read this question and started thinking about it in preparation for the panel was that there's something beautiful in the mundacity of trans life and trans existence that I think is lovely to kind of sink into. I think that oftentimes when we think about trans struggle, we like the counterpoint is to go to the other end of the pendulum, and we kind of do this either or thing, you know, and so I think that there's some sort of beauty in just the mundane realities that we all have in our lives. You know, it's like those moments when your very best friend calls you up and says, how have you been doing? And or what's new? And you say, like, nothing really, and how nice is that nothing really is new, right? So I think that that's one of the things that I was thinking about, that you know, it would be exciting to get to a place where for many people beyond trans communities and people who love trans folks, the first thing that we think about when we think of trans existence is not either the terrible, horrible, tough things or the kind of you know, like singular examples of this is the first trans person to do X, Y, or Z, right? That there's just kind of a mundaneness to our lives. I think the other thing that I want to kind of bring into the conversation, because I know Abby, you've mentioned it a couple of times here and there, is I really would love to continue to celebrate, talk about, big up the way that trans communities have always been in cross-coalitional solidarity with other movements towards justice. You know, I think that there are so many different examples of how that's happening now and historically, and I think it's really powerful and important to think about that in terms of thinking about current movements, global movements around genocide throughout the world, in terms of thinking about, you know, there have been a couple references to New York. I have never lived in New York. My brother did. That's a different story. He's not as cool as I am. Anyway, Darren has met him. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. But like in talking about New York, I think about the AIDS epidemic, particularly in the 80s and 90s. I think about gay liberation movements and how trans people, particularly trans women of color, have been on the forefront of creating change in space with communities. So that's the other thing that I'm thinking about. Abby, I'm not sure earlier, I thought I might have seen that you might be wearing a JVP shirt too. And so that's what made me think about that a little bit.
Yep, act up. Act up.
That we
Fight back.
It's actually in collaboration with several different groups.
Jewish Voices for Peace.
For shared safety. Not the standard there, but it's something we just launched.
Okay. Why do they feel like they're being killed all the time? Because they believe that capitalism is literally violence. Capitalism is what's oppressing them. That is what it is. They believe capitalism is literally trying to kill them. Capitalism is oppressing them. The goal of queer liberation is to overthrow capitalism. So it all comes back to that.
Yeah, thank you.
When they're talking about when they're talking about creating a trans utopia, they're talking about creating communism. They're talking about overthrowing capitalism, overthrowing the government, abolishing the Constitution, creating a new communist utopia. That is what it's a reference to. Being queer has nothing to do with being gay. It has nothing to do with being trans when it's like a person that transitions from being a man to a woman or woman to man. When these people say trans, they do not mean transition. When these people say trans, they mean transform or transcend, as in transform gender or transcend gender entirely. That is why they use they, them pronouns. It is a reference to the abolition of gender, abolition of the gender binary, because they are transforming or transcending gender.
Darren, do you want to add?
Sure. If you'll allow me to add by way of a story.
Sure.
I love the story.
So, this I've had a lot of the last times in the last like week here. Actually, even the last 5 days, had a lot of last time to do, etc. And Sunday was my last time to.
Yeah. This is a really important point. I love the way you phrase this. I'm going to take a screenshot of it and we're going to use it for later. Man, to the left, the terms man and woman are not a biological reality, okay? If you're here and you think men and women are a thing and there are only two genders and you are born one of them, you do not believe the same thing that they believe. They believe the categories of man and woman are social constructs created by capitalism. They do not believe that man and woman are biological realities. They believe they are made up categories. Man equals productive worker, the top of the hierarchy. Woman equals reproductive worker, the bottom of the hierarchy. That hierarchy, the gender hierarchy that is created by the productive worker, men being on top, the reproductive worker, the birthing person being on bottom, that's the patriarchy. When they say the patriarchy, that's what they're referring to. So when they say man, they mean productive worker, productive contributor to capitalism. When they say woman, they mean birthing person, reproductive labor. That's a really great way to put it, bro. Well done.
Perform with the Denver Gay Men's Chorus. Okay. I've been a member of that chorus for 7 seasons. I was the second trans member of that chorus. That chorus has a 44-year history. And the second, and I've been there in 7 years. The first one only started 6 months before me. So,
yep.
And has had to, and I see our vice president is actually here in the Zoom.
Oh, the vice president is there.
How you doing, Sean? But I am in previous, the first, right? And so Z talks about the limitations of talking about first, right? He ended up leaving the chorus for life, because life was life,
by
right?
The VP.
And so the end of my tenure on Sunday made me the longest singing trans member of that chorus. Okay. Now, I can understand those 7 years in a couple different ways. I can understand those 7 years through the lens of it being getting not until my 4th season when I didn't end the concert cycle. We have 3 concert cycles a year, where I didn't get to the end of a concert cycle and want to leave. That it took to the 4th season before that happened, because of a lot of trans antagonism, because that came through pronoun misgendering, like all of those things, and from leadership on down, right? I could understand those 7 years through that framework. I could understand those 7 years through a more gender euphoric kind of stance, in which I got to narrate on stage. I had sung solos on stage in a voice that I felt comfortable in, and wasn't, and it took almost the full 7 years before I wasn't afraid to sing by myself in front of a group and be concerned about what was going to come out of my mouth, right? What that sound was going to be. We could understand those 7 years through that framework, right? And I don't think it has to be an either or, as he was saying earlier. When we only focus on the struggle of those first 4 years, we miss the euphoria that also surrounded. Why did I keep coming back? Why did I keep coming back? And Z knows part of this story. Because she would ask me, why do you keep going back? And it was because in the midst of all of that bullshit, excuse my language, I use the worst term than hell, so I'm not
worst
the rabbi,
term than
so I get to do
hell.
that. In the midst of all of that space of rehearsal of the stage helped keep me sane throughout much of the past 9 years that I've been in Colorado. And if I had not had that space, right, I don't know that I would literally be here right now. So it's the complexity, right? I mean, it's I think one of the things about being trans, as is true about being Black, as it's true about being Jewish, is that there is always a both and. Always, right? And so if we only look at it through struggle, then we miss the and. We miss the both and, right? That helps us process the struggle, right? That helps us see past, see over, see under, see through that struggle. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And I think from what y'all are talking about, I do want to talk about trans futurity, because I feel that that's been a consistent theme of, like, yes, acknowledging the both and in the current day, but also where can we go from here? So one of the ideas that runs through Cruising Utopia is that future is not something that we just have to wait for. It is something that we can collectively imagine and move towards. It can feel distant, but many things that would make trans lives more joyful and safe are things that we can begin practicing right now. So I would like to end this part of the forum by asking each of you, when you imagine a more liberated future for trans people and communities, what do you see?
They're not making it up on the spot. The reason it seems like they are making it up on the spot is because you have never actually listened to the left before. I'm not trying to make you feel bad, because you're brand new and I appreciate you coming over and listening. The reason that you think they are making this up is because you have never actually listened to the left before. If you have been watching conservative content, you have never listened to the left before. They literally say stuff like this all the fucking time, across every single group, across all far left activists. They are completely consistent in this. So they're not just making it up. This is what they talk about all the time. It's just that you've never seen this before because you've never actually listened to the real far left before. So welcome.
Feels possible that may be difficult for people to imagine today.
Darren, do you want to?
I'm just going to go back and get the full question again, just so I can get a sense of what they're actually answering. Yo, do I just get some memberships? Cynthia! The queen is in the house. Cynthia in with 5 channel memberships. W's, my dear. Really, really appreciate it.
It is something that we can collectively imagine and move towards. It can feel distant, but many things that would make trans lives more joyful and safe are things that we can begin practicing right now.
Yo, Malcolm!
So I would like to...
Malcolm, in with some big support. W's to you, my friend. So appreciate everything you do, Malcolm. You rock. Thank you for 10 gifted channel memberships. Getting us over the 50% mark. Awesome.
And this part of the forum by asking each of you, when you imagine a more liberated future for trans people and communities, what do you see? And what feels possible that may be difficult for people to imagine today?
Darren, do you want to crack at this first? Because I know that me and the rabbi have had a first go. So.
I knew you were going to do that, and sure. I was looking and it was like, yes, I have notes. Okay. But one of the things in Munoz's text that really compelled me, though, about this question, Maddie, so if I can twist it just a little bit, is the recognition when he talks about being not yet queer. We are not yet queer. I loved that framing.
We are not
and particularly
yet queer.
when he connected it to one might say that to talk about utopia, you really need, and futurity, you really need to also be talking about history and past, right? So in some ways, and as I've been thinking about this in my mind, it's like we are not yet queer, but we have been queer and we will be queer.
Yo!
Right.
Okay, so Cynthia, 5 more channel memberships. W's to you. Everyone put green squares in the chat for our Emerald Queen. Thank you so much, Cynthia. I so appreciate the ongoing support. Okay, so what this person just said is very important if you want to understand what the term queer means. Queer does not mean being gay. Queer does not mean being trans. Queer is a far left revolutionary political ideology designed to overthrow capitalism. That is what it means. So this they, them professor is saying, we are not queer. We have been queer and we will be queer, but we are not queer. What that means is indigenous people in the past were queer because they were not capitalist in the past. In the future, they will have their communist queer utopia where they will be queer as well. But currently, because they live under the current system of capitalism, they are not fully queer because they live in a capitalist system. I know that this is difficult for people to understand if you come to this thinking that the term queer has to do with being gay or trans. On the left, it does not. They are saying, and we'll listen to it again, we are not queer currently. We have been queer, referring to the indigenous past, or we will be queer, referring to the communist utopia future. But because we live in capitalism today, they are not yet queer. Listen again.
One of the things in Munoz's text that really compelled me, though, about this question, Maddie, so if I can twist it just a little bit, is the recognition when he talks about being not yet queer. We are not yet queer. I loved that framing. And particularly when he connected it to one might say that to talk about utopia, you really need, and futurity, you really need to also be talking about history and past, right? So in some ways, and as I've been thinking about this in my mind, it's like we are not yet queer, but we have been queer and we will be queer, right? And so how do we bring that past and that future together to live into a utopic present, right? And so for me, it's I see, and that prefix trans, right, going across a transdisciplinarity, a trans modality. So if we think about the arts and letters and, right? So trans modality and trans epistemologies, plural, as you are studying, Maddie, right? And so as I think about that, I pull in Z's work on trans epistemology.
Z.
Right? That's a decade ago now, Z? That article? Which it's a powerful little gem. And if you don't know it, if you haven't read it, you should read it. It was in Urban Ed, right? Journal of Urban Education. So imagining a trans epistemology, right? I think it's at least the front part of the title. And so it's going across all of the boundaries. One of the reasons that I say that trans people, regardless of whether you have done a biophysical transition or not, whether you're on hormones or not, whether you change your pronouns or not, whatever, change your name or not, is that we cross boundaries, okay, all the time in lots of different ways. We cross boundaries simply by existing. And there is an opportunity, I think, in a trans utopic future to practice and manifest the transitioning of and transing over, right? Transversing boundaries of thought, of form, of ways of thinking, of ways of being in the world, that we can model that for ourselves, right? And really get into what I think is somewhat sometimes lacking is intergenerational.
Hang on, Goro's got a question over on Rumble. Sorry, I didn't see that, Goro. Why exactly do they believe they should celebrate coming out but don't celebrate ordinary men and women? They do not believe that ordinary men and women exist. This is not about, they do not believe that men and women exist. They believe that if you identify as a man or a woman, you are identifying with a made-up category. They don't think it's a real thing. So why would they celebrate that? In celebrating coming out as trans or queer or a person of trans experience or whatever the fuck, what they're really celebrating is the awakeness to class consciousness. The awakeness of your consciousness to the fact that you are oppressed by this mysterious system called capitalism and that you now have this knowledge of how the world works. That's what they're actually celebrating. It's not about being a they, them. It's about the awakening of consciousness that happened when you decided to come out as queer, which is a fundamentally radicalized far left political ideology.
Leadership building, community building, to really be able to pass on and understand both directions, right? Not just from an elder, quote unquote, elder to.
It's when you come out as a person of trans experience, you are rejecting the roles that you were assigned by the oppressive capitalist system. Well done. Well done, average person.
Youth, but also the other direction, right? Within and across. So,
what's that from Grillis?
Yeah, there was something else I was going to say and I forgot. But around the age thing. So, like, we recognize the unfortunate, despicable reality, tragic reality that for many trans folks, the life expectancy is not necessarily that long. Okay. I had
because
another
of capitalism
trans member in our chorus more recently joined who said to me a couple months ago that I was the oldest trans person she knew. I'm only 52. And yet in that, how are we practicing?
Oh, good find, Grillis. Thank you.
Intergenerational lineage and community and love.
I appreciate you looking that up
for us. How are we loving on each other across generations? So I'll stop there.
Yo, Mark, welcome to the cult, bro. Your life is over. You can never leave. You will never see the world the same way again, but you're going to have friends during the communist utopia. Appreciate you becoming a member on the channel. Thank you very much. Guys, we are trying to reach 100 new channel members today. We are 58% of the way to our goal. If I teach you something new that you didn't know before, if I make you look at things in a new way, if I take the time to answer one of your questions about what the fuck is going on at George Washington University, if I show you content on the internet no one else is showing you, please feel free to express your gratitude by gifting some channel memberships to the chat. Axehead, let's go! W's to you, good sir. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted channel memberships. Really appreciate it.
I think I just got the hand signal to go next, so I'm happy to jump in. Yeah, thanks for getting us started, Darren. Such evocative words that you're sharing. And also, yeah, it has been about a decade since I first wrote that piece, the
Mark
first draft
gifted
of
a
that
channel.
piece I wrote.
Mark both became a member and gifted a channel membership, an extra set of W's to you, good sir. Thank you so much.
2016, just in case folks are interested about how slow the publication pipeline sometimes is. Yeah, this question is such a good one. I think that
Hey, Malcolm in with the super chat. Appreciate it very much, Malcolm. To this group, the very existence of capitalism and capitalists is violence. It's a really important point to understand, guys. When the left says capitalism, they mean private property ownership. They don't just mean an economic system. They also mean a cultural system that upholds cultural normativity. To them, the very existence of capitalism is in and of itself violence. So that means that they are justified with using violence to attack the capitalist system. It's a really important point. I appreciate you making it. Thanks so much, Malcolm.
the first thing I think about is we need it all, right? So like thinking about the both and also reality that we need to be living in, I think that there is a place and space for all different sorts of strategies in terms of thinking about futurities and queer futurities. I am especially moved by
redundancy.
this
Thank you.
fantastic
Appreciate
article that Tourmaline wrote for Vogue Online that I'm going to share with folks if people have not read this piece. But she just wrote this epic piece again for Vogue. And if you'll indulge me, I just want to read a couple paragraphs of it because I think they're so important and integral to thinking about how we can move forward together and not just think about forward, but also the right now of transfuturity. So in this piece, she writes, freedom dreaming starts with asking questions, often the same questions over and over, allowing ourselves to get deeper each time. Coming out of the long tradition of freedom schools, I focused on these three questions as an organizer. What does the dominant culture have that we want? What does the dominant culture have that we don't want? What do we have that we want to keep? These days, it's the third question that preoccupies me. The thing is, freedom dreaming isn't just about the big things, the huge world changes that we're manifesting in our movements, like police and prison abolition, free universal healthcare, and gender self-determination for all. When I give myself permission to slow down like this, and particularly when I wonder what we already have that we want to keep, what I always notice are the small things. Or I should say, what seem like the small things but really are the big ones, the everyday acts of liberatory glamour, care, and openness that keep us alive. I notice how much I'm already surrounded by the world that I dream of. And so I think this question about futurity is also really, we need to temporally, ontologically, epistemologically, spiritually, we need to be thinking about the present moment as part of that futurity, that we're actually already building the queer liberation that we desire. And also there's more and more and more that we can keep on doing. And I mean more not in terms of work or productivity, but in terms of volume, right? Like give me excess joy.
Cynthia is spoiling me today. Cynthia, another 10 gifted channel memberships. Big support from the Emerald Queen. Cynthia, I so appreciate everything you do for the channel. You rock. Green squares in the chat for Cynthia. Dropping another 10 channel memberships. I so appreciate it. Getting us to within 25% of our goal. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Give me excess futurity. Give me all of the things all of the time. And I think that there's a maximalism that we can really be a part of that's really gorgeous and beautiful. I will also say, connecting maybe a little bit of Tourmaline's words with the work that Abby has written in Becoming Eve, this idea of sitting and resting with questions over and over again is a really powerful idea for me. It has reminded me about, Abby, one of the things I kept on thinking about in listening to your book was the power of deep study. And certainly for me and Darren, deep study has been very meaningful,
Yo!
not only just professionally, but
can we just get 5 channel memberships from Goro on Rumble? Rumble showing up today in the gifting channel memberships department. W's to Goro over on Rumble. 5 gifted channel memberships. Whoa, buddy. Love it, Goro. Thank you so much.
But personally, I think the idea of asking these questions over and over and over again allows us to come into ourselves and greet ourselves multiple times a day in new and expansive ways, and in ways that help us.
It doesn't mean capitalism. I'm not sure what he means, but it's not capitalism.
And through one another that are really beautiful, right? So, you know, I think there's a power to deep study, and there's a power to thinking about resting with questions and resting with selves that can help us remember that not only do we seek and desire particular futures, but we're perhaps living some of those futures right now.
I feel like I don't want to say much because you two have already shared so much, and it's like I'm reminded, given that you all mentioned we got a lot of Jews here, but in our tradition, at the end of a Passover Seder, there's this final piece of matzah you're supposed to eat called afikomen, and then you're not supposed to eat anything else, so you are left with a good taste in your mouth. So part of me doesn't want to say anything else because I want to leave everyone with a good taste of what both of you just said. I think I want to. I will share just briefly. One of the things that I've been thinking a lot about already for the past like 10 years, and in my new book, I think I write a bit more about that. It's how much I hate tolerance. My go-to line for people is to say that tolerance is for lactose or for nuts. You know, you can be lactose tolerant, you can be lactose intolerant. That's okay. In a Jewish context, I sometimes say it's for your friends, latke toppings, which we all tend to have very strong opinions about. That's what tolerance is for. I think we really need to switch the way we think about, like, to really have trans joy, we need to move past it. And we already talked a lot about that when we talk about oppression, when we talk about constantly fighting back against oppression and so on, and discrimination, and really focus on proactive, like, celebration. Proactive, like, our lives and our beauties are amazing. And Maddie, I love how when you started talking, you mentioned this, how we don't have to wait for the future to come, which again, and I should stop apologizing for that, but I sometimes feel like I'm being too Jewish, and which is literally in my title, so I guess I should be fine with that. But I think Judaism specifically, there's a belief that we can't just passively wait for a better world to come. It is on us. It is on us. It is our responsibility to make that happen. Whether
you
we
don't
talk
say
about Tikkun Olam, which everyone knows a bit more, this idea of like we have to build a better world. I think a better for this context is a teaching in the Mishnah, 2nd century text that says you don't have to accomplish everything, but you can't say I'm not going to try. It is our so like. Do I think that we can have a world that is truly joyous for every trans person and every trans child by tomorrow? Yes, I want to, but I don't think we're there. I don't think that's going to happen. But that doesn't mean that we should just be like, let's just fight for our lives, which we have to do, and not focus on the long term. And I think what both of you, what Darren and Z already said, covered so much about like seeing elders to make sure that we build that like generational, the wealth of generational knowledge and experience. I know you mentioned the author also of Marsha, the book about Marsha P. Johnson that recently came out last year, 2 years ago, which I've just been reading.
Yo, Cynthia, seriously? Cynthia, the hero we needed today. In so many ways. Seriously, Cynthia, another fucking 20 gifted channel memberships. Just like, I need to see as many green squares in the chat as possible for Cynthia, dropping so many channel memberships on you guys today, bringing so many more people into the community. W's to you, my dear. I so appreciate everything you do. You rock. You are the queen, the legend of Cynthia. Thank you so much. We appreciate everything.
Life,
let's fucking go.
Sitting in her kitchen surrounded by 10 trans people who are basically her kids, and the world that creates. And I see it with so many. I had personally, I think that trans she wasn't even that old, but that trans person in my life was Cecilia Gentili, that I know a lot of us knew about, who I got to know because she was personally my patient coordinator at the gender affirming clinic where I went 11 years ago. But was creating this world. They were like a force of this world of joy. And
force
really
of the world of joy,
like on a hands-on way, just being conscious about that, being conscious about creating that world and building that world. We think a lot about it. Trans people, I think, are amazing community builders. And my perhaps biggest trans elitism is the fact that it's mind-boggling to realize how good we are at that. And yes, the reason, as I said before, the reason isn't necessarily always for a good reason, but we are truly capable,
Malcolm,
of building a lasting.
Malcolm says, hang on, Cynthia. I'm gonna pour a little bit more on top. W's to you, good sir. I so appreciate it, Malcolm. You rock.
World. And we need to make sure that we provide for ourselves and for each other the tools to keep doing that, to create lasting organizations. But organizations doesn't just mean a big national nonprofit. I mean, a place where people go for a nice holiday meal, places where people go to show up when something goes well. We have more than enough places where to go when something goes bad. We need more places where, I know there has been a rise in like trans proms, but that's a good example of what we need so much more to create those proactively joyous spaces. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you all for that.
Is that it? Did we just reach the end? Yo, that's it? That was an abrupt ending to a presentation at George Washington University of 3 Jewish people talking about trans joy and utopia in overthrowing the capitalist system. 1 in the chat if you learned something new during the course of that presentation. 2 in the chat if you didn't learn anything at all and this was a big waste of your time. Let me see. 1 in the chat if you learned something new in the course of that presentation. 2 in the chat if you didn't learn anything at all and this was a big waste of time. That did go fast, actually. That went really fast. I wasn't expecting it to go that fast. I wasn't expecting it to end that quickly. A lot of ones in the chat. Awesome. Well done, everyone. We did it in record time. We've only been streaming for 2 hours, but that's okay, guys. That's okay, because guess what? It is Tuesday, and that means I'm coming back in like 2 hours. Jennifer and I are going to do a show tonight. I have no idea what the show's about because neither Jennifer and I have sent any videos to each other. So I got to go figure out what Disenrage is going to be at 9 p.m. tonight. If you want to come back and join us for Disenrage, you are more than welcome. But I want to appreciate everyone who sent in 105 gifted channel memberships today. I want to appreciate everyone who sent in super chats. You guys rock. You allow me to do what I do. Thank you for letting me show you guys what the far left does. And remember, we have just come across a treasure trove, like an absolute fucking treasure trove of content in trans freedom school. So there's a whole bunch of content to get through. We might even have a spy stream tomorrow. I haven't gotten the link yet, but we might. There are a couple different spy streams tomorrow. So we got a ton of shit to do this week, guys. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you come back to the channel. Make sure you turn on notifications. And thank you to everyone who allows me to do this by funding these streams. You guys rock. I can't do it without you. I will be back in a couple hours for Disenrage, and we'll talk about some spirituality and some fun, woo-woo, psychicking, and maybe I'll get Jennifer to psychic if there's going to be like what the Pisces is going to do now. Maybe we'll just leave it alone. I don't know. I haven't decided. Should we get Jennifer to psychic the current state? Jennifer actually got him right. Jennifer fucking called it. When I had Jennifer psychic him a couple weeks ago, she was basically like, Karlyn, he's getting kind of pissed off at all these pokes you've been doing, like, and he's gonna get more pissed off, and then eventually he's gonna blow up. And I was like, actually, Jennifer, you were dead on with that prediction. That is exactly and precisely what happened. And we may get a Pisces update. We may not. I don't know. I don't know if I'm done yet. I'm going to decide on the fly. We're going to see. But I'll be back at 9 p.m. If you guys don't want to come to the spirituality stuff, that's totally fine. Come back to the channel tomorrow at 5 p.m. and we'll have some awesome leftist content. All right, guys. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here? 3 months, May 17th. And what brought you? That's difficult to answer.
Eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital.
That's difficult to answer.